Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, our math lesson and tutorial is on finding the domain and range of rational functions. This is the part 1 of the discussion, the step-by-step process in determining the domain and range of rational functions. Again, this is Nald and Nald Math Learning sa YouTube channel. The domain of rational function. The domain of the function is the set of all values that the variable x can take. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay yung mga possible na values ng x. The range of the rational function is the set of all values that the variable y or f of x can take. Yung mga possible values din ng y. The different forms or ways of expressing the domain and range of rational function. First, by roster method, or we call it by listing all the elements. For example, the domain is the set of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Or the range is the set of numbers from 1, 2, and so on. Another way of writing the domain and range is by set builder notation or set notation. Example, we use this form, the set of all x such that x is blank. Take note, when you write the domain and range, always use the bracket because that's a representation of a set. Since domain is a set, and also the range is also a set. Example for the domain, the set of all x such that x is a real number. Or the range, the set of all y such that y is not equal to 3. In this case, lahat daw na number ay pwede, except 3. Another is by interval notation. Using the interval notation, we have the open interval from smallest number to the largest number. We have the closed interval from yung pinaka-left na number and pinaka-right na number. Then half open interval from or half closed interval from. Take note, ang nasa left side ay pinakamaliit na number at ang nasa right side ay pinakamalaking number. Example, the domain is an interval, half closed interval from 1 to positive infinity. The range is half open interval from negative infinity to 1. Let's proceed to example. Example number 1. Find the domain and range of rational function given y equals 1 over x plus 2 or f of x equals 1 over x plus 2. The solution here to find for the domain, take note that if there is no variable x in the denominator, the domain is always the set of real numbers, or you can express that x such that x is an element of real numbers. This is in set notation or set builder notation, or from open interval from negative infinity to positive infinity. This is by interval notation. If there is a variable x in the denominator, just solve for the restricted value of the domain. So in this case, the given, it has an x in the denominator. Kukunin lang natin itong denominator na x plus 2 at lalagyan natin ng equal 0. And that became restricted value. Whatever the value of x, that's the element which is not included in the domain. That is why instead of writing equal, so we use not equal. Okay, how? You equate the denominator to 0, then solve for x. But instead equating, I use not equal. So x plus 2 is not equal to 0. When you transpose positive 2 to the other side, it became negative 2. So therefore, the domain is the set of real number except negative 2. How to express that? In set notation, the set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 2. Take note, do not forget the bracket because that's referring to the set. You can use D as symbol for the domain or the word domain equal or colon. Or you can express this in the set of all x such that x is an element of real number except negative 2. Or by interval notation, that's open interval from negative infinity to negative 2, union, open interval from negative 2 to positive infinity. Open, ang ibig sabihin, hindi kasama itong negative 2. Okay, so kaya we use open or parenthesis in an interval notation. How about for the range? For the range, so remember that our given is y equals 1 over x plus 2. Compute for the range, your step 1 is solve for x with respect to y. So dapat x na ang nasa left side. Pag domain, y ang nasa right side. So when you solve for x, ibabaliktad nyo yung x na ang nasa left side. Solve for x. So y equals 1 over x plus 2. Multiply all throughout by x plus 2 or cross multiplication. Remember that the denominator of y is 1. So we have y times x plus 1 equals 1. Paano nangyari? X plus 2 times y. So we have here, the denominator of y is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Then distribute y times x, then y times 2. We have xy plus 2y. So we have y times x is xy. Y times 2 is 2y equals 1. Next is transpose 2y to the other side because we are solving for x. Itong 2y walang x. So ililipat sa kabila. So it became now 1 minus 2y equals xy. So we are solving for x. Hindi natin kailangan itong y na coefficient of x. So therefore, we divide both sides by y. When we divide, x equals 1 minus 2y over y. So ito na yung reference nyo pagkuha ng range. Okay. Now, this is our reference to in getting for the range. X equals 1 minus 2y over y. Therefore, sabi nga, if there is no variable y in the denominator, the range is the set of real numbers which you can express as that this one, y such that y is an element of R. Take note that for the range you use variable y. Or by interval notation, open interval from negative infinity to positive infinity. But then, if there is a variable y in the denominator, you need to solve for the restricted value of the range. Yung variable na nasa denominator or yung terms na nasa denominator, yun ang equate mo sa 0. Then solve for y. So y is not equal to 0. Why is it that I change equal to not equal? Para automatic alam nyo na yan ang hindi kailangan or yan ang hindi kasali sa range. This is the restricted value of the range. So therefore, when you write for the range in the given function or equation, we have the range, the set of all y such that y is not equal to 0 by set builder notation, or you can express it like this. Y is an element of R when y is not equal to 0. Or by interval notation from negative infinity to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. Another example, we have find the domain and range of the rational function f of x equals x minus 3 all over 4. For the domain, since there is no variable x in the denominator, then the domain is the set of real numbers, or the set of all x such that x is an element of real numbers, or from negative infinity to positive infinity, an open interval. That's the domain. How about for the range? Since it is linear, that is, when you multiply 4 to the left side, remember f of x is equal to y, so it became y equals x minus 3 all over 4. Multiply it both side by 4, so it became 4y equals x minus 3. And it is linear. Pag linear siya, meaning it's always the element of the real numbers. So therefore, the range is, this is the set of all y such that y is an element of real numbers, or the range is an open interval from negative infinity to positive infinity. Next example, find the domain and range of the rational function f of x equals x over x minus 3. For the domain, since there is a variable x in the denominator, solve for the restricted value of the domain. Equate the denominator to 0. X minus 3 is not equal to 0. So, take note, I change equal to not equal para automatic yan ang hindi element of the domain. Then, transpose negative 3 to the other side, it became positive 3. Then, ito yung hindi kasama sa domain. Lahat ng number na real numbers ay kasama maliban sa 3. Therefore, the domain is the set of all x such that x is not equal to 3, or it's an open interval from negative infinity to 3, union 3 to positive infinity. For the range, you solve for x. So we have y equals x over x minus 3, multiply cross multiplication. So we have y times x minus 3 equals x. Distribute y times x, then y times negative 3 is negative 3y equals x. Then solve for x. Itong negative 3y, walang x, ililipat natin sa kabila. Itong x, ilipat naman natin sa kabila. So it became 3y minus x equals 3y. Ay xy minus x equals 3y. Itong negative 3x nilipat sa kabila, naging 3y. Itong x nilipat sa left side, naging negative x. Pareho siya may x, so factoring by GCF. Remember, importante ang factoring. So we factor it by GCF yung nasa left. So we have x times the quantity of y minus 1 equals 3y. Solve for x, we divide all throughout by y minus 1. Therefore, x equals 3y over y minus 1. Now, to get for the range, remember that there is variable y in the denominator. Therefore, you equate the denominator to 0 and solve for y. That became the restricted value. The word restricted, so I changed equality to not equal. Y minus 1 is not equal to 0. Transpose negative 1 to the other side, it became positive 1. So therefore, y is not equal to 1 as the part of the range. So the set of all y such that y is not equal to 1 by set builder notation, or open interval from negative infinity to 1, union open interval from 1 to positive infinity by interval notation. So this is the range of the original function. Okay, another example. Find the domain and the range of the rational function f of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 4 all over x plus 1. So our given is the numerator is factorable. So it's better to write first or to express the fraction or the function in factored form. So write first the given in factored form. So x squared minus 3x minus 4 all over x plus 1 became the quantity of x minus 4 times x plus 1 all over x plus 1. Anong ori ng factoring? This is QT-1, type number 5 of factoring. Refer doon sa video ko na pig-upload. Yung part 1, nandoon ito. This is QT-1, factoring by QT-1. We have x minus 4 times x plus 1 all over x plus 1. But then, there is a common factor to numerator and denominator. We cancel it. take note, ang kinakancel ay is a point of discontinuity. For every value of x, it has a corresponding value of y as only a point on the Cartesian coordinate plane, but that point is what we call point of discontinuity. So, the simplest form of the function became x minus 4 equals y. Okay. So, ito na yung reference natin. Take note that there is a point of discontinuity which is not part of the domain in the range. Therefore, to get for the domain, so we solve for x, yung kinancel natin sa denominator and numerator. We solve for x. X plus 1 equals 0. Then x equals negative 1. Then substitute to y. So dito na tayo magso-substitute sa remaining, hindi sa kinancel. Kung ano yung natira, doon natin iso-substitute yung value ng x na kinancel natin. Ang value ng x ay negative 1, i-substitute natin dito sa x minus 4. So negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. That's the value of y. Therefore, the point of discontinuity is negative 1, negative 5. Ito yung point of discontinuity. Now, our domain is the set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 1, or from negative infinity to negative 1, union, open interval from negative 1 to positive infinity. Now, if you notice, ang simplest form ng function ay walang denominator. It means that it's a linear function. So therefore, ang range is also linear or element of the real numbers except the y value of the point of discontinuity. So therefore, our range is the set of all y such that y is not equal to negative 5 or from negative infinity to negative 5 union from negative 5 to positive infinity. Take note, ang hindi lang kasama sa range yung y value ng point of discontinuity at ang hindi kasama sa domain is the x value of the point of discontinuity. Kasi ang simplest form ng function ay wala na siyang denominator. It became linear. So take note that the point of discontinuity is represented by an ordered pair x, y is a hollow point on the graph. The x value is taken from the common factor of the numerator and denominator. Then to get the y value of the point of discontinuity, you need to substitute the x value to the remaining equation, and that became a hollow point on the Cartesian coordinate plane. And that is not an element of the domain and not an element of the range. Thank you so much. Please watch the shortcut way of getting the domain and range of rational function for my next video.